Hey, you guys. It's Denise Walsh here. I am coming at you live in the Become a Dream Life coaching group. If you're listening live on Facebook, be sure to press streamyard.com/Facebook so we can see your name when you pop up. And if you're listening here on YouTube on the Coaching for Coaches podcast, be sure to join us in the group so you can interact and connect and all the things, because here my goal is to support you in becoming an excellent coach and building a thriving coaching business. So I certify coaches in my methodology and help them to help clients like get their dream life. And that's what this is all about. And so what I know is, as coaches, right, we also need to and get to work through our own stuff. I actually have a post coming out tomorrow talking about the fact that trauma impacts leadership. And as leaders, we've got to clear our own cobwebs so we can actually lead more effectively. And so wait till tomorrow to hear more about that. But tonight, we are going to hear from one of my friends who has dived deep into human design, positive intelligence, and self mastery. And she's going to share with us a bit about why those three things combined create a program that's going to help you to overcome burnout, experience success, and do it in a way that feels good and aligned to the way you're wired. So before I bring her on, be sure to say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're listening from. And if you are ready to experience more peace and passion than you ever have before. So we have a hello, welcome. So glad you guys are here. And I want to hear from you too. Have you heard of human design before? Have you heard of positive intelligence before? Have you heard of self-mastery? What about these things are interesting to you? Because I'd love for you to post any questions you have throughout our conversation so we can come back and answer them too. So, hey, Janet, welcome. Glad to see you. Why, hello. All right. So, with that being said, Big Dream Life, welcome to Courtney. Welcome.
Hello, how's it going? So glad to be here.
Yes. So for those of you that are in 90-day U-turn or in the certification program, you might recognize Courtney's face because she's a piece of a module in the life purpose, I believe it is, or there's one of those modules. We actually have some training and some programming in from Courtney already. So I love that she's here today to take us a bit deeper into what she does so we can speed up success without burnout. Now, Janet is saying she does not know anything about human design, positive intelligence, or self-mastery. So I'm excited for us to introduce all of this to the coaches here on the line today. So Courtney, before we talk about the program and the content that you bring to clients now, I'd love to hear a little bit about you and what brought you into this world of human design and supporting people and becoming their best self.
Yes, well, I have a degree in marriage and family therapy, and I was going to pursue that route. But when I was diving more into it, I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is what I want to do, that type of thing. And so I couldn't quite pinpoint what I wanted to help people. I always wanted to be there to help people, to help others, and to really connect with people. And so I just fell into helping my husband build his company that is in marketing and market research. And then I just kind of settled with that, right? And because I was like, well, I don't know if I am made for what I really want to do. Do you know, and I don't know if you guys get that a lot, like that settling. And so I had just settled for a long, long time. And I had decided that part of what I wanted to do was open a coaching practice. And the coaching practice would help entrepreneurs, but also help kind of on the marketing and market research side of things with social media. So that was the focus. I really wanted to help people make connections and to really see what it was in an authentic way. And so as I was building that out, I had one of my colleague friends ask me what my human design was. And I was like, Wait a second. What is that? I've never heard of that before. And I've always been a personal development and leadership junkie, like just loved podcasts and books and talking about all these things. Um and so when she pulled up my chart, I was like, okay, that looks crazy. What does it even mean, Um and she started telling me more about it. And then I found a coach to kind of lead me through it. I decided to do an experiment and see, human design is all about the gifts that we were born with. And I believe that we're divine. I believe that we're born with gifts. I believe we have missions here on this earth to do. And so this just really resonated with me, all these things. And so I thought, well, if I just like follow this human design stuff, which is like telling me like, how do I operate best? What are the gifts that I was born with? How do I make decisions best? It's so layered in so many ways. What would my life look like? What would my business look like? So I did this kind of 4-month experiment on myself. And I found at the end of it, I was like, I just feel so much more me. I just feel this permission to show up better for myself, to advocate for what I need, but also to lean into those gifts that I was born with. And it made me a lot more happier and had a lot more freedom. So that's kind of where I started the journey. And then I was like, I just can't keep this to myself. Forget the whole social media coaching program. Forget my husband and our business. He's still running it. But I'm like, this is what I was meant to do, And so that's how we started.
You were sparked.
Yes.
I love it.
Completely.
So,
yes.
for those that don't know, how do you get your human design? I think it's your birthday and basically you put your birthday and like where you were born and things like that into a formula, and then it shoots out your human design numbers that then you can kind of say, all right, this is what it means.
Yeah. And they can go onto my website and grab their chart there. But yeah, they're going to use their birth time, date, and place. And that's what it's kind of like. Human design is kind of like a personality test, sort of. But instead of answering all these questions, we're just putting in the fact that this is where I was born and this time and the place. And then we get these results of, what is my type? That's kind of the first place to start. And then what is it feeling when I'm living aligned? And how do I make things happen? All these little layers that come with it. So instead of it being like just this is you, it's very much a puzzle, because each person's chart, I've read hundreds and hundreds of charts, and I've never seen two charts alike. So everybody is a combination of different things, and it's really beautiful to see.
So why is it beneficial for us as coaches to know and understand ourselves, but then also potentially know and understand our clients?
Yeah, I think this knowing of ourselves, this like self-actualization is so critical, because as coaches, right, we're trying to help people, we're trying to encourage them and support them through really tough challenges. And we have to come to the table as filled up as possible, So if we're having that stress and anxiety and overwhelm, it does cloud how we show up and help other people, And so really the best way that we model as coaches too is by doing the work for ourselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing the work ourselves, clearing our own cobwebs, living in our own alignment helps us to be like living at our peak performance, right? And then we're able to spread and ripple effect and impact into others. Now, your program is not just human design, though. It seems like you incorporate several other things. So what else is encompassed in that?
Yeah, so I work with also these negative characters that come up over and over again in our life. So we can really have this self-mastery, because what I was finding is like the human design part is kind of that positive side of things, but my clients were still having these negative thoughts coming over and over again to them. And so I wanted a way where they could identify with their characters that were hijacking them, and really taking away their peace and their power. And I love, personalized development and personalized leadership. And so I love that positive intelligence really identifies what is your sabotaging characters that come up over and over again? And it helped me to realize as I went through the program myself, and I've worked clients through this program, that I am not those negative emotions, right? I can actually like stand back and be like, oh, I see you, like either hyperachieving or pleaser or hyper vigilant, there's all these characters that I can identify and see, and then I can recognize like how can I shift out of that just by doing some somatic tools and helping me to reframe that every experience can be a gift and an opportunity through that.
Yeah. And so when you find people who, and we'll talk a bit more about human design because we've got mine pulled up and we'll be able to kind of use mine as an example. But let's say that somebody has their human design, they start to learn and experience what they are, like what their gifts are, what comes naturally to them. How can they use that to their advantage?
Yeah. So there's this, I think as human beings, we often compare ourselves to other people just like in the subconscious level and consciously. And we often also have blind spots for how awesome we are, like when someone tells, me, oh, you did so good at that. One of my tendencies is to be like, kind of brush it off, or like change the focus, that type of thing. But we come to the table with so many amazing gifts, and it helps us, our brains, to actually acclimate to the gifts and to show up. So, like, one of your gifts from your human design chart is your gift of speaking. And I just think, like, when you were on my podcast, oh my gosh, like mic drop moments all the time. You have this gift of speaking, of really bringing clarity and landing your messages and connecting with other people. And so it kind of shifts how we think about like, with this gift, how can I show up in my life or my business with this gift, like linking arms with that gift? What would it look like? And so it becomes this ease and flow instead of this feeling like we're swimming upstream.
Yeah. And I think for me too, when I hear those things, it's so validating. Like, oh my gosh, well, I love this piece of my business. I love traveling and workshops and webinars and all of these times where I get to share and experience and teach and draw things out in people. And there's a reason I love it. It's because I'm wired that way. And I think that when you know the way that you're wired, you can align your business in that way. Like if you're a group person or a one-on-one person, or if you are somebody who likes to kind of be the leader, or if you're more of the gatherer, community builder, there's a lot of different ways we can run our coaching business. And so understanding the way you're uniquely wired is helpful. And, one of the reasons I started this Facebook group was because I love to go live. And I thought, you know what, instead of making reels every 2 seconds, although I will learn that skill, going live is much more in alignment with who I am and what I love, responding to people, answering questions, being in real time. And so instead of trying to fight it and learn a whole new skill I don't love, this helped me to go, all right, I'm just going to lean into this. I'm going to lean in to what comes naturally and own it and create momentum here.
Yeah, and it's like your personalized blueprint to how to do that, instead of like trying to figure it out and do all this trial and error, which, is fine too. It's like helps us to compress time because it's like, oh, I have permission just to do my business this way. And I love it, right? And that's what it comes down to is, right? We've chosen to be coaches for a reason. And a lot of times things get in the way, but that calling is on our hearts, and that should be the center focus.
Yeah. So somebody asked, what if I do not know my birth time? What would you recommend for that?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I get that a lot too. Sometimes on birth certificates, there's not those details there. And so what I recommend is knowing, like, do you know if you were born in the morning or the afternoon or the evening? So kind of narrowing it down to those categories. And typically, like, usually people do know. So it was sometime in the morning. And so what I do is I pull times in the morning. I just pull them and see what has changed on the chart. And definitely the person can reach out to me and see, and we can work through that. But just going through and noticing what changes there are in the chart, major changes like type and and the different centers.
So meaning like there could be 3 hours of time where it's fairly similar and things don't necessarily
Right.
change, but there may be some bigger changes that you can say, all right, which one fits?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. It's like, okay, here's the changes we see, and then I'm like, okay, this is what this chart is saying, and this what is this chart is saying, and every single time the person's like, oh yeah, that one is me, and that's
Mm,
all we have to do.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I try not to make it complicated.
So I am considered a manifester. So tell me a bit about
Yes.
what the manifester means. And then my strategy is to inform. So yeah, tell me more about that.
Yes. Yeah. So a manifester is one of the human design types that's kind of that foundational where we always start with our type. And so as a manifester, you're a big leader. You're supposed to create ripples. You're supposed to like create big changes and innovations, and you see things in a different way. I was coaching a corporate client, and she's a manifester, and she's like, I one of her team members was said something that told her basically to shush, and I was like, let's reflect on that, but that is actually taken away from your strength and from your gift. And so being aware that you're supposed to speak, you're supposed to communicate, and that really is your strategy. Your strategy is how you make things happen, and it's simple. It's you inform, you communicate. So the more that you communicate, the more that you put yourself in those situations, the more things will happen and come towards you. Oftentimes we have to think like in business or life, we have to make things happen, go like knock on doors or go like be really alpha energy or something like that. But it just has to be your energy. And when you come to the table, like with this energy of, I am standing in my power as a big leader, I'm embracing what I'm going to say, the energy and the vibe just changes and people accept that. And it's a really beautiful thing to see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Because you're right. It doesn't have to be
Yes.
hard. And I think sometimes, especially as new business owners, it can feel like we're rolling a boulder up a hill. But when you're doing it in alignment and you've got a program that you love, it can feel fun, it can feel easy, and the right people come
Yeah,
into your path. And
exactly.
so
Yep.
someone, it doesn't say the name yet, but it says, I've had mine read and I'm a manifester too. So what
Oh,
other options are there?
nice. Yeah, so there's 4 other design types. I'm a projector, and a projectors are one of the talents that we have and gifts is really seeing this zoomed out perspective of like, okay, if I want to go from A to Z, I only really need to hit this and this, and we're there, that type of thing. Instead of getting caught up in the weeds. Um, let's see, a manifesting generator has kind of your manifesting part, but they also have the generator side, which is this like energizer bunny. And so they're going to want to like go, go, go and do things. And they're big leaders in their way of communicating and sharing with the world their perspective, but they also have the energy to back it up. So they put a lot of things on their plate and they can get a lot done really quickly. Um, and then there's generators who again have this like energizer bunny ability, but they also have this ability to cheer on um, their team, their clients to reach tough goals as they're reaching and working towards their own tough goals, right? So it's almost like this linking arms and this magnetic energy that happens between them and everybody else as well. So, and then a reflector is really a beautiful connector. So, a reflector, if you are familiar with human design, you can look on the chart. They have all undefined centers. Now, an undefined center means that they can connect and be influenced by others. And we think about that sometimes negatively, but it's actually pretty good, right? We want to feel what other people are feeling. It helps us to know where to kind of read the room. And reflectors can feel that energy and they can feel those emotions and those fears, and then they can shine and share with others about that as well. So I think I hit them all. Yeah.
Awesome. And Janet said, she said, I hate saying fake it till you make it, but this really allows us to be ourselves and own it until we make it, right? So we're not projecting something that's not accurate. We're actually leaning into who God created us to be.
Yes. Oh, Jenna, I love that. that is such a good point because I've never liked that fake it till you make it statement, you know? Um, and I can see why, because it's like the authentic self. Why would we want to turn away from what God has given us and try and be like someone else? He doesn't want that, He didn't make us to not be us.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so what I think is fascinating is that so often we are a bit confused. Like we don't come with the operation manual. Like this is how it's done. We kind of have to figure it out through trial and error, through life. We have to decide what brings us joy and listen to our bodies and like take a second and try this thing and see how it feels and then move on and that kind of stuff. So I feel like this is kind of a shortcut because it's a little bit of an operations manual to how we're wired. So then we can live more authentically without all that trial and error.
Yeah, it's like a blueprint,
Yeah.
Like I always think when my kids were born, I was like, I wish they came with a manual, but
Yeah.
this is it,
Yeah.
And it really is, and it's helped. Yeah, and it's helped me as a mom too to really see like how do I interact and support my kids and my husband, like because I know kind of the background of how they're wired, and I can see that blueprint.
Awesome. So if somebody's interested in learning more about human design, positive intelligence, self-mastery, how would they connect with you and what does that process look like?
Yeah. So right now I'm having a big event and it's velocity with peace and power because I know that we can have velocity, which is speed in the right direction. And we can have that with peace and not with overwhelm and stress and anxiety and all the things. And as coaches, we really get to have like a healing journey for ourselves and pour into ourselves even more. And I love that support. And so really like diving into these tools and having that healing journey so that we can have velocity and use the gifts that we were born with, identify those characters and have self-mastery tools that help us to be able to step into our callings even more.
And so what is the big event? When is it? And how do they sign up?
Yeah. So it is velocity. There, if you go onto that page, there is get some more information and you'll be emailed the event. It's a YouTube event and people can watch and just enjoy.
Oh,
And get
perfect.
to know.
I just posted it and I've learned that when I post in this, it only goes to YouTube. So I'm going to go here to Facebook and post it personally to the, so they can see. Here we go. All right. So if you go to this, the velocity method, this is the website that you gave me, Courtney. If you are interested in purchasing anything, you can actually put the word Denise in the coupon code and it gives you a bit of a discount. So if this is something you want to go down a rabbit hole and learn more, then definitely check out the Velocity event and consider these programs as you continue your own healing journey and getting into your own personal alignment. Is there anything else, Courtney, that you'd like to share?
I just want to shout out to you, Denise, for living your design, for bringing the world these programs, for all the work that you do personally and professionally. Like every time I see you on social and every time we interact, you're just a star and you just bring so much light into my life. And I appreciate it. I'm so glad that the social media people algorithm thing connected us and we're meant to be friends. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, you guys, if you've not yet done your human design, it is free on Courtney's website. So you can go get your own human design chart and then connect with her to help you figure it all out. But this is a fascinating and useful tool for sure. So thank you guys for listening in live. We go live every single Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So put it in your calendars. And the goal of this group is to help you become an excellent coach and build a thriving coaching business. And so drop any questions that you have as you're on your own healing and growth journey and stepping into the coaching world. Because I know that restlessness and that spark that you have was there for a reason, and it's only going to get louder until you take full action on it. So thank you, Courtney, for sharing your wisdom and experience with us today. We'll definitely be reaching out and in touch. And you guys, will see you next week.
Bye.